Joy News Prime.
Viewers watching from across Ghana and beyond, this is Joy News Prime here on Joy News Multi TV. My name is Israel Lai. In this edition, Ministry of Agriculture announces a ban on the movement of poultry products and feed from Accra in renewed efforts to curb bird flu spread. National Labour Commission meets government and leadership of striking doctors to resolve stalemate in negotiations for doctors' conditions of service. Governing National Democratic Congress dismisses as fraudulent and frivolous claims by the opposition New Patriotic Party the discovery of 76,000 supposed Togolese nationals in Ghana's voters' register suggests a bloating of the roll. Notorious armed robber in infamous ambush and killing of 2 police officers at Nankpanduri in the northern region, sentenced to death by hanging. And Oil Palm Development Association blames Food and Drugs Authority for ban placed on Ghana's palm oil in the UK after some of the produce was found to contain harmful dye. We also have business, sport and international news all coming up in this bulletin, available across Europe on London-based ABN television. Please stay tuned. Our very first story, a meeting called by the National Labour Commission to mediate the impasse between striking doctors and government ended a while ago at the Commission's Ridge office. Both parties have been unwilling to speak to the media, but Joy News has gathered the Commission held separate meetings with the parties at which each of the parties were allowed to present their case. The parties are said to have been held up at the Commission for about 4 hours. They expected to meet again. Now, the meeting at the National Labour Commission coincides with fresh criticisms by a former president of the Ghana Medical Association that the Commission had failed to intervene in the association's impasse with government. Dr. Emmanuel Adom Winfo tells Joy News the Labour Commission is one of the key institutions that can help resolve the matter.
By the tenets of the labour law, 3 days after an employee in an essential service has brought up a complaint, measures must be put in place to resolve it. If that can be done within those 3 days, then there is a 14-day period which all arrangements must be made to resolve it. If it doesn't work, then there should be compulsory arbitration. Why are we sitting here and the Labour Commission has kept silent over this important issue to date? Government has refused to give any channel of communication for people to address their grievances. And the only way they have addressed their grievances is to go on strike. And if we had not gone on strike, if doctors had not gone on strike, government would not have come down to sit with them to talk about their conditions of service. So, if doctors are illegally on strike, government has also been very illegal in not giving the space for people to address their grievances. They have committed the bigger illegality. They should not blame the GMA for what has happened.
Has the NLC come up with anything throughout this period?
Have you heard them? They haven't. They haven't come out with any document, any statement, anything. They are quiet. I don't know why they are quiet. They have awarded costs against government in favor of GMA, but they have not been able to enforce their own rulings. So they even cannot come and talk to GMA as a credible, arbitrator, simply because they cannot function as an arbitrator. On 2 occasions.
You don't have trust in the NLC?
I do not have trust in the NLC the way it is apparently, composed.
Now, the Ghana Medical Association says some of its members have been receiving death threats as a strike over doctors' conditions of service enters week 3. In a statement issued Wednesday, the GMA president noted that some government communicators have gone on air to openly encourage armed robbers to attack homes of these doctors, adding that the communicators also gave out details and direction to the homes of these doctors. The GMA gave no names of doctors facing threats or government communicators it accused. But President of the association, Dr. Kwabno Opokudu, says criticizing government for silent support for these threats. The GMA says nothing will deter it from fighting for a documented set of conditions of work. The statement also touched on allegations of divisions in the GMA. It says the Ghana Medical Association would like to inform its members to disregard any information circulating on social media and other media platforms suggesting that a breakaway group has been formed from the GMA. It is a vile propaganda with no basis. This is a deliberate attempt by our detractors to create division on our front. It also touched on the threats to its members, and then it also talked about allegations of doctors against the strike. Now it goes on to say under that the attention of the GMA has been drawn to some publication in the media indicating that there are sections of doctors who are against the ongoing industrial action by the GMA. It says the GMA would like to state emphatically that during the extraordinary general meeting held on Friday, August 14, 2015, at no point did any member of the GMA indicate that they do not support the action. And it also talks about the Cuban doctors in Ghana and the CHAG institutions and quasi-government institutions that government says should hold the fort during the strike. In other news, an Accra fast-track High Court was sentenced to death by hanging notorious armed robber Johnson Kombian. The judgment was passed Wednesday morning after the jury considered the severity of his charges. Kombian was charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder in October 2010. He also ambushed and killed 2 police officers and left another injured in Nankpandori in the northern region. He broke jail in Tamale on Friday, January 15, 2010, and the circumstances police and prison authorities described as weird. He had escaped twice from the Tamale prisons, twice from Togo, and once from the Gambaga prisons. And then about 20 traders from Tema were robbed at gunpoint around the Ho Central Market on Tuesday. The traders who traveled to Ho on market days to sell fish say they had boarded a bus ready to return to Tema after the activities when the robbers struck. According to them, one of the robbers was wearing a police uniform. Their monies were taken before they were molested and shot at. 2 of them sustained injuries on the arm and the mouth. The police are holding the driver as a prime suspect. At the time of filing this report, the traders had besieged the Ho Central Police Station, pleading with the police to release the driver so they can return to Tema.
It was about 7:30 p.m. as we were about to leave when the driver realized one of the tires of the truck containing our loads was flat, so he decided to check on it. In the process, he suspected some people around, so he quickly called the police. Thereafter, he was shot by the robbers. The robbers then surrounded the vehicle, demanding for money from us. They beat and shot at anyone who tried to escape. One of our colleagues was hit at the mouth with a gun while another's arm was shot. The police arrived after the robbers fled with our money and belongings. We reported at the police station that very evening and had to sleep with a relative. We again reported at the station this morning only to be told by the police our driver is a prime suspect. The driver has been driving us for a long time now and there is no way he could do such a thing. In the process of checking the tie, the driver was shot by the armed robbers. They quickly surrounded the vehicle and one was demanding money from me. I told him I had no money and he shot my arm. I fell off the vehicle after I was shot and had to run and enter a lady's room.
The police in the area have refused to comment on the matter. The Ministry of Agriculture has announced a ban on the movement of poultry, its products and feed from Accra to any other part of the country. The ban, which will remain into the unforeseeable future, seeks to curb the further spread of bird flu. Deputy Agriculture Minister in charge of livestock, Dr. Hannah Bisiu, says the ministry is engaging the security agencies to enforce the ban.
A total of 40,154 birds have been killed since the ministry confirmed the outbreak of bird flu 2 months ago. Another 23,987 birds have died naturally from the disease. The cases have so far been concentrated in the Greater Accra, Volta and the Ashanti regions, with 9 out of the 14 districts in Accra recording cases. The Ministry of Agriculture had earlier prohibited hawking of live birds in the capital, a ban which was casually overlooked by most poultry retailers. It, however, says the latest ban on the movement of birds, poultry products and feed in and out of Accra should help reduce the spread.
We are strictly banning every form of poultry and poultry product out of Accra into any other region. The first outbreak that we had in the Ashanti region of Obuasi, we've not had any other outbreak ever since. So we will cautiously say that Ashanti region is safe. The other regions, we cautiously say that they are safe. Unfortunately, we will not be able to enter into people's homes to see who has backyard poultry or not. Unfortunately, these backyard poultries, they find themselves with the flu on our markets. What we found on Kantamanto market was backyard. And we did not know how many of those birds had been sent out on the streets. And so we are zoning, and as we go down, we'll let you know the zones and the measures that are being taken. We need to take these measures to make sure that in the next few months, getting to Christmas, our region, Greater Accra, the capital of Ghana, is free of the bird flu, and the other regions are safe from the disease. And no farmer from any other region should accept any product from anybody coming from Greater Accra, if even it's imported and they are transporting from Greater Accra, without the veterinary certificate that says that it is safe to have it.
The ministry, since the outbreak, said it needed a budget of 11 million Ghana cedis to implement emergency containment measures. Farmers affected were supposed to have been compensated. They are, however, yet to receive any such monies. But Dr. Bisiu says discussions are ongoing for the disbursement to begin.
Government is working out the modalities to pay compensation to affected farmers. Monies have been approved, and so we will consequently work on the percentage, because the numbers will have to be audited. It has to go through a number of things before you can say that farm A is due so much. And government will only pay for birds that we destroy. So we advise farmers that immediately you see the first death or the first abnormality in your bird, report to the vets. We will give numbers that you have to call at the end of the day. To the backyard farmers,
the ministry has meanwhile rolled out an awareness campaign for stakeholders in the country in order to safeguard against the spread of bird flu. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News, Accra.
While some farmers are also calling for intensified public education for the general public and farmers, particularly backyard farmers whose activities are not regulated. The farmers say the panic created as a result of the outbreak is affecting sales, whilst financial institutions are also denying them loans to run their businesses. The situation, they say, is gradually crippling the industry.
For the issue of the loans is a concern, because one of my executives at the Western region, his loan was approved, but they told him because of the bird flu scare, they are not going to give the money to him, which is not very good, because he has made the necessary arrangement to buy feed and other things, birds and other things. So if he's refused the loan, it means he cannot continue with the business. So I think the financial institutions should have a second look of this situation, because we are taking good care of it. As of now, it has been controlled, except that there are a few areas in Accra that are having challenges. But I know it will be over. So the financial institutions should come back again to assist the farmers. If they are not there, we cannot do our work.
We are saying that in event of any sectors the vet should be able to come over and support. But we are looking at a situation where the industry is going to suffer just because the financial institutions are scared, probably out of ignorance, thinking that the bird flu would sort of collapse the industry. But our word is that if the industry will collapse, it's not coming from the bird flu. It's going to be our actions and inactions. So we will still appeal to the financial institutions to continue to give us the support, because this is the time where we need the support.
All right, we're taking a break now, but we're just learning that the National Labour Commission has issued a release following the meeting with the doctors and the government earlier today, and we're just getting some details coming through. In a bit, we're going to project it onto the screen, and then I can share that with you. But the doctors had met the National Labour Commission earlier today, and there was a meeting between the government representatives as well as the doctors. And the statement actually says that the National Labour Commission met the employer represented by the Ministries of Health, Employment and Labour Relations, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and the Ghana Health Service on the one hand, and the Ghana Medical Association on the other hand, on Wednesday, 19th August 2015. And this was the meeting that we reported earlier. That's our top story. The Commission's intervention is pursuant to Section 1381, subsection A of the Labour Act 2003, which states to facilitate the settlement of industrial disputes. The Commission, having heard the parties, appreciates the difficulties of both parties and directs as follows: that the GMA should take steps to call off the strike immediately, that both parties, government and GMA, should resume negotiations immediately and report to the Commission on Monday, 24th August 2015 at 4 p.m. That the Commission, having been seized with the matter, both parties should cease all media engagement forthwith. And this statement is signed by Bernice Welbeck, or Dr. Bernice Welbeck. She's the acting executive secretary for the National Labour Commission. So 3 directives given here by the National Labour Commission. It says that the GMA should take steps to call off the strike immediately, that both parties, government and GMA, should resume negotiations immediately and report to the Commission on Monday, 24th August 2015 at 4 p.m. and that the Commission, having been seized with the matter, both parties should cease all media engagement forthwith. So that's a statement coming from the National Labour Commission after it met both government and the striking doctors earlier today. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more stories. Don't go away. Now, rejected and recycled documents being presented as fresh facts to the public. That is how the National Democratic Congress has described the latest evidence presented by the New Patriotic Party on the voters' register. The opposition party yesterday stated that it had uncovered more than 76,000 names of Togolese nationals in Ghana's electoral roll, and that it is enough justification for the Electoral Commission to prepare a new register. But speaking at a news conference today, General Secretary of the governing party, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, says the claims which are typical of the NPP are not entirely new.
This document Dr. Baumia is flaunting around was presented, thoroughly discussed, and rejected. And they appended their signature. Now, after that report has been presented, and meetings, at least one meeting had been held in trying to look for ways of implementing the reforms contained in that document. Now MPP takes their rejected documents, recycles it, and the General Secretary, because maybe he's fighting to make himself relevant, begins to go from one party office to the other. He meets somebody there, and then televisions capture that. That person says, oh, the party will look at their document and respond appropriately. And it is all over the news that that party which he visited accepts their position to replace the voters' register.
Mr. Esiedun Ketia also accused the NPP of playing tribal politics with its claims.
The claim by the NPP that persons from Togo and Cote d'Ivoire have had their names on the electoral register is not only fraudulent, but also constitute a gratuitous attack on the people of the Volta and Brong-Ahafo regions. As far as we are concerned, this claim is a continuation of the MPP's long-standing affinity to tribal politics, through which they associate people from certain ethnic and tribal extractions with wrongdoing and heap on several comments on them. This is unfortunate, ladies and gentlemen. You know the regions that border Togo. You have Volta region, you have Northern region, you have Upper East region. So why are you settling on the indigents of Volta region? They should come and explain to us.
Now, the New Patriotic Party, however, says it is at a loss as to why the NDC is in a haste to respond to allegations of the country's electoral register being bloated. National organizer John Boadu says the NDC's posture seems to suggest it could be beneficiaries of the current system.
NDC is on record not to have proposed any reform at all in this country. On record. Just last time when we proposed for biometric registration and election, Asedun Ketia was on record saying that her mother, the mother is an illiterate, Ghanaians are illiterate, and they cannot understand what a biometric system is about and all that, and that electoral commission should not do it. So a response from them, is it because they profit from what it is? Is it what it is, or what? What has that got to do with them? Why are they so busy about themselves trying to respond to this? These are issues that we've raised that go to the core of our elections. Does the NDC even understand what facial biometric recognition technology is about? Do Asedun Ketia understands that? So on what basis is he speaking? Does he know the process through which that is done? He doesn't know. And we are not talking to him. He has no locus in this matter. They are only busying themselves just to also get something to do. I think Asedun Ketia, the General Secretary, have a lot of work to do to get back his lost glory.
The opposition New Patriotic Party, meanwhile, says it is yet to name the team expected to lead the party's campaign as it attempts to recapture power in next year's election. It had been speculated the composition of the team would have been made public at the national executive meeting of the party on Wednesday. Party officials, however, say the issue was not on the agenda of the meeting and that the MPP is not under any pressure to name the campaign team, which is said would be led by either former General Secretary Dan Botwe or former Chairman Peter McMahon. That notwithstanding, the party says it is in pole position to recapture power from the opposition NDC, from the ruling NDC, and that it is sticking to a roadmap put together for the purpose. MPP National Organizer John Boadu spoke to journalists after the meeting.
We did not put out any notice to anybody that we are going to name any campaign team today, did we? We didn't. So there's nothing like a failure on us. We have our roadmap that if we are ready, we'll tell you.
Again, one would say we are in August 2015, elections is just about a year.
Which political party has put together its campaign team?
You are in opposition, so obviously one would think...
We are not the only party in opposition.
You're the largest party in opposition.
It doesn't mean that we should put up our campaign team now. We have our roadmap, and our roadmap that we have followed. We are the only party in Ghana that has been able to elect its presidential candidate. The only party in Ghana. It's the only party in Ghana that has been able to do primaries for almost 96% of its parliamentary candidates. No party has been able to do that. You understand?
So for many, it seems to suggest the party is a bit indecisive as to who exactly is to lead the team, who is to be part of the team, and all.
We've not even come to that level. We've not even come to that.
Because you don't consider it a priority at this point?
I'm saying that we've not come to that point. We have a roadmap that we are following. And if you want to talk about those who are late, we are none of those who are late in terms of putting together our machinery towards election.
Is it a priority for the party at this point in time?
That's why we have a roadmap which includes that.
The Oil Palm Development Association wants the Food and Drugs Authority to be held responsible for the discovery of palm oil dye in Ghanaian produce on the UK market. The adulterated products have since been banned, and the association fears the development could negatively affect the local industry. It wants government to partner the local producers to tackle the challenge head-on.
In Ghana, oil palm is the fifth largest crop in terms of cultivated land surface. Local production, however, falls short of the demand. As a result, the country tends to import crude palm oil and palm. Nana Otuo-Sribo, who has over the years advocated for the revamping of the palm oil industry, made a strong case for the establishment of an oil palm board.
Companies are in Ghana importing their entire requirements of palm oil. Can't we force these companies to go into plantations? I would, with all respect, plead that the Honorable Minister take it upon yourself and then get the Minister of Trade and Industry together. Let us immediately have an oil palm board for the sector. Immediately.
Palm oil market is flooded with imported products that are sold off cheaply, much to the disadvantage of the locally manufactured ones. The president of the association believes there must be a level playing field. He nonetheless believes the FDA should have been able to detect the cancerous product which made its way onto the UK market.
If anything is being exported from Ghana, is there a way of taking it through some quality checks? In some countries, if you are taking something, you are bringing something into their country, it cannot just come like that. If you are sending something else out, it cannot go like that because they want to make sure that it gets there and it doesn't give their country a bad name or they don't get blacklisted. Perhaps it is part of the bigger institutional weaknesses we have in our system.
Deputy Minister of Agriculture Yakubu Alhassan, who was also at the National Forum, asked the association to work together to ensure a vibrant industry.
In your deliberation, kindly use a master plan for the oil palm sector as your guide or as our guide. Also, do not forget the small-scale producers because they form the majority, and what ordinary Ghanaians eat come from what it is that they generate. And what is key is to organize ourselves, including them, so that we can have a very smooth organization that is really forward-looking and productive in its efforts.
Well, the Food and Drugs Authority says it is not to blame for the export of palm oil containing Sudan 4 chemicals. It says investigations are still ongoing and the FDA intends to engage the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority on how the produce with unapproved chemicals slipped through to the United Kingdom. Kofi Essel with the FDA's Food Support Services Department spoke on the pause.
No. I don't think FDA should take any blame for this. I mean, somebody decides to do business and he knows he's supposed to come to you.
Right.
And he fails to come to you. I mean, FDA, what can we do? So, Liver Lifeline knew very well that they have dealt with the FDA before, as far back as 2010, that exporting palm oil from Ghana, you needed to go through the FDA. That was the last time they ever got a permit or requested for a permit from the FDA. It has been the protocol since 2006 that to export edible palm oil or palm oil from Ghana to the EU in particular, you needed to get it tested for Sudan dye and also get a permit which would include even the container that is you are going to use in packaging the oil, the fill number. We shouldn't be quick in putting blames on state institutions.
Okay.
Okay? Liver Lifeline, it should be a responsible corporate entity. They know what they were doing. So why did they fail to do what is right? That is why the law is there.
Now, up next we bring you business news with Eton Amsay. Please stay tuned.
Always
always my pleasure to bring you business. My name is Eton Amse. The Union of Industry, Commerce and Finance Workers, UNICOF, has withdrawn the case it filed against the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, over the launch of its initial public offer IPO without parliamentary approval. The Supreme Court, however, awarded damages to the tune of 10,000 cedis against UNICOF for its decision to withdraw the case.
We informed the court of our decision to withdraw the application that we brought for injunction. Of course, the other side did not disagree with our application, except that they sought for costs to be ordered in their favor. So, by reason of the submissions made by the parties, the judge, a single judge sitting as the Supreme Court of Ghana, struck out the application as withdrawn and then ordered costs in favor of the defendants. 5,000 cedis each to either defendant. That is 10,000 Ghana cedis. In some of these matters, we have to be tactical in our move and then look at the best interests of our members. We have reviewed our position and considered the entire matter, and we thought that it's in the best interest of our clients, for our members, to withdraw this application today. It's a confidential relationship between the clients and the lawyer. I will leave that to my clients.
Going forward, what does all of this mean for this case?
I am sure the lawyers for the bank would advise them appropriately as to what their next step should be.
And the Chartered Institute of Taxation Ghana is waging a campaign to get government to tax online marketing companies. According to the institute, platforms like Tonaton and OLX have gone into avenues that government can tap into in a bid to generate more revenue. A fellow of the institute, Abdallah Ali Nachia, explained this to Joy Business at the opening of a 3-day conference.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation Ghana's 3-day conference, which opened today, is to make inputs into the amendments of the tax legislation. The legislation is currently under consideration by Parliament to be passed into law. The Institute, among other things, wants government to tax online marketing firms in the country. A fellow of the Institute and director of World Tax Service Ghana, Abdallah Ali Nachia, tells Joy Business government will greatly increase its revenue if considered the score.
A lot of issues out there in the US and the rest on online marketing business, Google, Amazon and the rest. We are gradually having our own type of Google and Amazon in Ghana. We have OLX.com, we have Tonaton.com. These are all virtual trading places. Take your picture of an item, you send it, somebody says I'll pay you, you meet somewhere, you exchange the money. What is the tax involved? How is government raising the taxes that are coming up from the gains people are making on these dealings on the internet?
Mr. Nachia also impressed on government the need to seek the views of taxpayers and other stakeholders in the amendments of the country's tax legislation.
We've highlighted the rights and obligations of taxpayers. So any legislation that is going to affect taxation will take account of the issues that we have raised. Are taxpayers consulted? Have they been adequately informed of the changes coming in the legislation? What processes are being put in the legislation to assist them to comply voluntarily with their tax obligations?
The conference, which ends on Friday, will come up with a communique of the Institute's inputs in the amendment of the tax legislation.
And the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System gives us assured businesses and individuals their transactions via its 2 newly launched platforms. The GH Link e-commerce and instant pay system will be secure. Gibbs says this platform comes with authentication systems which should make transactions safe.
Link e-commerce will allow businesses and individuals make and receive payments online with their domestic ATM cards, while Gibbs Instant Pay will allow bulk fund transfers from one bank account to the other. Commercial banks have welcomed the initiative as timely in reducing the country's unbanked population.
Initiatives such as these 2 and many others already in the market should encourage the public to put these monies in the bank. Indeed, losing your money to robbers, fire, or flood in these times is self-inflicted because you have absolutely no excuse to keep your money outside the banking sector.
The Bank of Ghana also says the initiative is in line with the country's bid towards a cashless economy.
The first instance it does us
in our monetary policy transmission, because if you have most of the funds in the banking system, any policy we intend to put in place or implement are easily done because we just target the banking system. But if you have a large part of the currency outside banks, it becomes difficult if you want to either reduce money supply or increase money supply.
According to GIPS CEO Achi Hesi, users have no cause to worry over the security of their transactions via the two platforms.
If you go to your ATM, for example, you insert your card, you type in your 4-digit PIN code, and then you have access to your cash. With the internet payment, you type in your account number, 13 digits, your 6-digit sort code, and your PIN. And it will then accept it, process it, and it will then generate another new code, which would appear on your phone. So if I have, for example, taken your card and I know your PIN number and I use it, but I don't have access to your phone, I will not have the second PIN to add to it before the payment becomes complete. So that's a security layer that we have put in place.
Achi Hesi also advised potential e-commerce companies to start realigning their business strategies to benefit from the platforms.
The International Monetary Fund is proposing the establishment of an independent body to help check the country's rising debts and expenditure. The body, which will be known as the Fiscal Council, is expected to start work by next year. The council is expected to have some legal backing, and it will be made up of some economics from Ghana. Well, we'll keep you updated with our story when we get details. That's it for business. My name is Eton. I'm Say Kwame Jumo is next with sports. Please stay.
Good evening, Ghana. Let's do some sports now. Begin with a build-up to the All-African Games in Congo-Brazzaville later this year. Team Ghana is going to be sending 350 athletes to the games, and the Ghana Tennis Federation have been busily preparing the athletes for the games. We caught up with the General Secretary of the Ghana Tennis Federation, Madame Philippina Frimpong, and she's confident that the team would come home with some medals.
The coaches have put together a very good program. They've done all the fitness they need to do. They've been doing their hitting, they've been playing doubles. We've been doing all of that. Morale in the camp is very high. The mood is high. The boys they are all pushing themselves. Everybody wants to be the one who wins, because there's only one medal in tennis: singles champion, women's champion. So everybody wants to be the one who wins that trophy or that medal.
And away from the All-African Games and Congo-Brazzaville later this year, we'll build up to Rio 2016 as well. We are just under 1 year to go, and the Black Bombers would love to represent Ghana at the Rio Olympics. Unfortunately, in the qualifiers that are currently ongoing in Rabat, Casablanca, the team is in there, but without a medical doctor. We spoke to the president of the association a few hours ago, and he bemoaned the situation.
I did the effort of having the doctor on board, and I called him. If he can even afford half of it, I'll try and let him get. I feel like I understand him. Since this is a national assignment, I mean, he was thinking, I mean, all the necessary things that are called going to raise the national flag has to come to bear, but it's like nothing works in that manner. You and I know I've already sacrificed for all these years, and if I'll reach the national level and all these things will be happening again, I think we have to be fair to the sport.
How a boxing team would travel all the way to Rabat in Morocco without a team doctor simply baffles me. Let's do some action from the English Premier League now. And over the last 24 hours, a lot of Ghanaians are celebrating the arrival of yet another player in the English Premier League. Barima has completed his move to Chelsea, and he's already desperate to win trophies for the Blues.
Now, reports in Nigeria say as many as 60 people may have been killed after a raid on a village in the northeast by suspected Boko Haram militants. The attack on Kukua in Yobe State happened last Thursday, but details the bulletin. Before we go, a quick run through our top stories. The Ministry of Agriculture has announced a ban on the movement of poultry products and feed from Accra in renewed efforts to curb bird flu spread. The National Labour Commission has met government and leadership of striking doctors to resolve a stalemate in negotiations for doctors' conditions of service. The very latest is that the GMA, the National Labour Commission, has directed the doctors to call off the strike immediately. The Gambian National Democratic Congress has dismissed as fraudulent and frivolous claims by the opposition New Patriotic Party. The discovery of 76,000 supposed Togolese nationals in Ghana's voters' register suggests a bloating of the roll. The notorious armed robber in the infamous ambush and killing of 2 police officers in Nankmanduri in the northern region, Combian, has been sentenced to death by hanging. And the Oil Palm Development Association is blaming the Food and Drugs Authority for the ban placed on Ghana's palm oil in the UK after some of the produce was found to contain harmful dye. That's it. My name is Uzolai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.
This is Joy News Prime.